Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Asian Weather Forecast, and I'm back with an update here on Invest 91L. For me, it's very weird because it's like the first time I've actually posted back-to-back days in like probably like 5 months, maybe 4 months. I don't know. So, like I said, I'm trying to get back to this regular schedule, and I hope you guys. I know a lot of you guys like my tropical updates kind of the most, so I'm gonna keep on grinding for the whole hurricane season. Hopefully, eventually, this becomes a habit again into winter and all that good stuff. But yeah, in this video, we're going to be doing another update on Invest 91L. The chances of formation within the next 48 hours have increased, and there's a little bit of adjustments here within models and just the overall structure of the storm, the overall current conditions, and as well the future conditions, and what could that mean for Florida when it comes to impacts and all that good stuff. Well, if you want to find out, I recommend watching the rest of this video. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the overall update from the National Hurricane Center. So there we have an 80-80 now. Oops, that's a little. That's from, there we go. Oops, maybe I do this. Okay, we have an 80-80 now. It was a 70-80 last time I posted a video, so it really hasn't increased that much, and the 5 days hasn't moved at all. So we haven't gone to a 90 or near 100. But you can see we still have again that low pressure, that area of disturbance just outside of basically Yucatan Peninsula and just outside the northwestern Caribbean Sea. So we do still have some strong upper low winds. However, the system's just kind of just to the south. That actual the low circulation is just kind of to the south of that all that shear. So that's kind of where it's still staying alive here. But it's still likely to possibly become a tropical depression, even a tropical storm as it moves in those very warm waters all the way to Florida. So we're gonna keep a close eye on weather within that general long track between Yucatan and Florida, whether it could very well become a tropical depression, which I do think it will at least, and then we'll see whether it does upgrade to a tropical storm. This is already 30 knots, so it's already 35 miles an hour. However, again, it doesn't really have a closed low circulation yet, and it's still pretty much kind of sitting over land, the low level circulation, so it's kind of getting very disturbed right now, and there is still again that threat for shear continuing. So it has a very disgusting structure right now. However, it is getting there. We are getting some better structures and better convection. Actually, we did see some really good convective burst earlier today, and we still see some pretty cold cloud tops there, very elevated cloud tops kind of really starting to form here with some good amount of convection. So we will keep a close eye on this as we go towards later today. But here's a quick look. I want to kind of look at the overall satellite data we have here. We'll get into ASCAT and all that good stuff here. But here is a look at the this is the 91 temp, I believe so, or 91 color. So you can kind of see the overall area of kind of that's where convections are, that's where storms are firing off here. So the east side is pretty much undisturbed when it comes to shear. We have a big pocket. We kind of do have a upper level anticyclone kind of sitting in the western Caribbean, so we have a pretty good pocket to the south, that low level circulation, where we do have pretty much very little shear here. So this is where this that's kind of where this low pressure is. Kind of the low pressure is around right here near Yucatan. All your shear is kind of right to the north of that, so that's why you don't really have anything to your west of your low circulation, also because that's over land. And then the east side is really blowing up because that's where you have that mainly undisturbed water when it comes to shear wise, and it's still pretty warm and no dry air interfering on that side. The only side we have to really worry about is the west side, and I think if it does form, which I do think it is, and maybe if it becomes a tropical storm, I think it'll be very disorganized and subtropical look like it's not going to be subtropical, but it will look subtropical based on the structure and how this shear, even dry air, will be interfering with half of the storm's structure, so it will look pretty lopsided, to say the least here. Let's go ahead and look at ASCAT very quickly here. We can look at the 25 kilometer. You can kind of see again we are getting readings of 30 knots here, so that is 35 miles an hour. You can kind of see we are kind of getting some kind of promising wind barb structures here at the surface, so you can kind of tell we do have somewhat that typical circulation we have. But like I said, the west side we don't have close or low circulation. It's not circling kind of clockwise all the way around, so we can't call it tropical yet. So that's why, although it's 35 miles an hour and which is basically just 4 away from tropical storm status, it's not a tropical depression yet. You can kind of see the east side is looking pretty good there. You can kind of see there's still some kind of wind bars going straight east northeast. So there are still, again, some things that need to be improved when it comes to the structure. We can look at the kind of 50 kilometer here and get a look at that again. You can kind of see the overall structure and the overall wind bars are getting there. I mean, the northeast side looks pretty good. You can kind of see that's kind of moving there kind of clockwise, but the west side, it's definitely got some work to do. Again, this is going to be a very lopsided storm, and that's why the tropical storm, the chance of this becoming a tropical storm probably won't be coming true until it gets closer to Florida, which is what I think. And I do think this could become a tropical depression, though, pretty rather soon here. But you can see, like I said, to the east of that low pressure, we are seeing a lot of convection going on here. Let's see what color will work here. I'm not sure what color will work. I could do maybe this. So again, we're seeing a lot of convection going on here. A lot of kind of effects of diurnal heating. We are getting a lot of lightning within that convection. Again, very very cold cloud tops. Nearly negative 80. Maybe slightly some spots of negative 82, negative 83. So we are getting some really good cold cloud tops. Definitely, which you want to see. If you're obviously you want to see the core of the storm obviously warm. You want to see a warm core storm, which we'll see as it gradually gains a better structure, moves further out to sea. Like once you get past the Yucatan Peninsula and it goes kind of closer to Florida, that's where we'll start to see kind of this improvement and more defined shape. But it's also in pretty warm water. You can kind of see there's two bubbles where this convection is kind of going on. These two bubbles are about 28 degrees Celsius, so it is in some pretty warm waters. But yeah, really good convection, a lot of lightning going on in here. So definitely a little bit more improvements compared to yesterday when it comes to the values of these cloud tops here. Definitely looking pretty good. I really wouldn't increase the probabilities just yet because it's still trying to mature and it's maturing pretty slowly. So I wouldn't really increase the probabilities of anything. But we are getting a lot more lightning than yesterday, which is a pretty good sign here. As long as you get lightning within these storms, that's pretty promising here. So we will continue to monitor that very, very closely. Let's now look at the overall SSTs for the area. Like I said, it is in kind of two pockets around 28 degrees Celsius, maybe some teeny little pockets 28.5, but that really won't make a big of a difference since the pocket's pretty small. But yeah, you can kind of tell as this low pressure is kind of right off here, and it's eventually going to start going towards Florida. It's going to get some pretty a long way there to the southwest portion of Florida. It's going to really mean a lot of interaction with these very warm waters, and as well not only warm waters but also getting some good ocean heat content values here. So definitely getting some warm waters down into the surface. I believe these values are for 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So as you can tell, we are getting 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The deeper you see 80 degrees Fahrenheit, obviously the more energy you have within the waters, and the warmer it is in general, especially down like meters down. So as you can tell, we're gonna be seeing some pockets in the path of the storm, 80-degree Fahrenheit waters, as possibly as far as 50-ish, maybe even 60-ish meters down. I believe this is meters. I could be wrong. I actually don't even know how many feet 60 meters is. Let's ask. How many feet is 60 meters? I really don't know myself, actually. Hold on, guys. It's 196 feet, so that's pretty deep here, obviously. Maybe even beyond 60 meters. So if this does obviously not get necessarily kind of torn apart by shear, which I really don't think it will. It'll still look pretty subtropical-like, but it won't be like eaten alive because it's not kind of going straight through the low-level center I think the one way this thing could actually not be named before Florida is that dry air gets into it, which is a pretty good possibility. Um, we have really good ocean content. Here's the latest shear values. So the low pressure, there you can see the storm, pretty good low convergence going on here. Let's use blue. So again, there's your center kind of right here. It's kind of right on the edge of that higher shear. Like I said, it's just in the north though. That's around 25 knots, maybe 30 knots here, and you can kind of see that's where you're gonna be seeing kind of that subtropical jet stream being a complete going straight through the belt of the Atlantic. Like I said, we are gonna be seeing an up level anticyclone kind of developing towards the Western Caribbean, which is where you're seeing kind of like 5 knots of shear. If we were to get a ULOC kind of directly over the system, which I really don't think will happen, then we won't have to worry about any shear like in any part of this system. However, that's not going to be the case. Like I said, we are seeing a pocket though where we're seeing these convection going on, where we do have about 5 knots, 10 knots of shear, maybe even less. So that's a pretty good. That's kind of the only reason why this storm is actually still maturing and not kind of the opposite of maturing. So again, we really can't say much about this. Obviously, as the storm moves to the east northeast, well, that's the wrong. As it kind of moves to the east northeast, we will see how this subtropical jet stream kind of interferes with it and how they interact. But we're also going to be seeing kind of the main jet stream kind of possibly interfering and maybe even coinciding with the subtropical jet stream. So that could also play a factor into maybe getting closer to the storm. So here's the overall look at the tracks. This is the latest 12Z tracks. And again, nothing really much has changed except really the low level, or just the low in general is a little bit further north than what models were kind of hinting at. So it's actually going to most likely not make any interaction with Cuba. Thankfully, that wouldn't really help mature the storm, because some models, yeah, actually were having kind of low down here, down there, and then making some type of interaction or close call with Cuba. But although this means more time with interacting with Yucatan, it will, again, allow for it to kind of stay in this pocket for now. It's not going to really mature or really decline in structure. It's going to kind of stay pretty much the same right now. But as it goes towards Florida, that's where we'll be really watching out for that kind of maturity and development. Maybe see a better, well-defined LLC. May even see MLC possibly stack up with the LLC and maybe allow for this to actually become a tropical system. We all gotta see and wait though. But again, like I said, I don't think I mentioned it much in yesterday's video, but even if it doesn't form before Florida, like as a tropical storm, I think it'll definitely become a tropical depression before Florida. But if it doesn't become Alex before Florida, I think there's a possibility it could become Alex after Florida. And if it doesn't get named before Florida, I think we'll have to watch out for this general pocket right here. And I will give my reasoning in a little bit, but some of the reasonings that I already passed would be the SSTs. We see obviously the Gulf Stream does a lot of magic at this time of the year. Look at Danny, look at Arthur, look at even Anna from last year, which developed all the way up here, like right here. And it was subtropical, obviously, but it formed in like 23 degrees Celsius waters, 24 degrees Celsius waters along the Gulf Stream here, and that was obviously very early last year. Look at Arthur, look at Bertha, look at all the storms from the past few years that have developed in this time of the year in the Gulf Stream here. And like I said, this storm really won't be subtropical, but it may look subtropical. So I do think there's a chance it could form, if it doesn't form already, as a storm somewhere over here, just passing the Gulf Stream here. And again, obviously it's more than just waters, but there is a pretty good, at least smaller, hinting on some pretty good bubbles of variable shear values for development here. So that'll be very, very interesting, at least to say the least. And here are the intensity guidances, and they definitely have increased compared to yesterday, which I kind of did expect. I'm not sure if I pointed it out, but I think we were going to see these models start to hint towards tropical storm development, and it's still kind of leaning. Most of the ensembles and the global models are still leaning towards tropical depression only, or not even hitting 39. But some more, obviously, yesterday we only had like one hit borderline tropical storm. Now we have a good maybe 6 or 7 hitting tropical storm, and even some getting it to around 55 knots. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I really think the storm will probably be maximum 45 miles an hour. But again, it's still a little too early and uncertain to give any maximum values. But that's just a kind of prediction on if it does become a storm. I think it'll become maybe a weaker one in the lower end. And then very quickly we'll look at what the models have, the 12Z model. So GFS, again, the location for the low pressure is a little bit off here. In 6 hours, it'll obviously be further north than what it did already. But it does have kind of some weird foolery going on there with kind of going towards Cuba and back kind of northwest a little bit. So I think these gold models really won't be too necessarily helpful until maybe 0Z, where we have some possible agreement on the low location, but it still has a gain to 998 millibars. Before Florida, 909. So it is slightly weaker than yesterday, as it had 996 before Florida, but it still has it strengthening around 992, 992, 990, right on the Gulf Stream. Like I said, I think there's a possibility that it could have a window where it could develop into a tropical storm, if not already, on the Gulf Stream or just after the Gulf Stream. You can kind of tell, see, there's a pretty good pressure, and then it kind of strengthened as it kind of interacts with the strong upper level trough. And then that's basically what the GFS has. And if we look at the shear, like I said, it does have a pretty good bubble here going to the south. And you can kind of see that kind of the two jets kind of practically, like I said, coincide with each other, and they're pretty parallel to each other. So that's going to definitely really allow for kind of a stronger or a larger wind, severe, not severe threat, but it's a larger wind shear threat. However, again, you can kind of see the eastern side is going to be in a pretty big bubble the whole way there with less than 20 knots. So I think if we do manage to get the winds needed and the structure needed, we will have our wind field just on the east side, not the west side, because of that shear. And it's probably going to be a very open system here, although, again, it's going to need to close low to actually become tropical. I think even if it does become closed, I think there will be a threat with dry air eventually with this, as the ridge and the high pressures are right there. And look at this. We start to see an opening here in shear and lesser shear values. Like I said, that's why I think there's a possibility. And it won't be a long-lived storm, so it doesn't mean we're missing a 5-day system going out to sea. I think this could manage to get names for maybe a day or two, maybe a little bit more than a day, maybe 2 days, but it won't be that long of a system. But if you look at the overall moisture, like I said, there could be a threat of some dry air as it gets closer to Florida. But other than that, we shouldn't see any threats of dry air once it passes Florida. Like I said, I think it'll get its act together after Florida, so even if it doesn't get named, I think it could after Florida, and that's definitely something reasonable in my opinion. And let's go look at the latest CMC, and this is what they have. So they have it around 1,002 millibars, and they have it kind of a little bit weaker and a little bit further north now, actually. They have it pretty far north, but 1,000 millibars. So definitely the GFS is a lot stronger than the other models. But look at the European here. European's pretty interesting. Has it at 1,004, 1,001, maybe right at landfall in Florida, and then it really gets to act together right after the Gulf Stream, getting to 996. 994, so it's definitely pretty interesting here. I think this could get its act together. But I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys later.